Why are you running for city council?
Absolutely. I'm running for city council for numerous reasons. So one, as a recent college graduate and working within the workforce here in the city of Decatur, I want to make Decatur an attractive community for individuals like myself and of all stripes to see Decatur as an attractive community that they can come start a family in, continue their career and build their next chapter truly. And I think we have a lot of valuable assets here in the city of Decatur that we just have to need to learn to leverage a little bit differently to bring in these businesses, to bring in this development that we once saw and really enjoyed here in the city of Decatur, and bring us back to one, where we once were, but two, where we can go in the future as well. And that's why I'm running. As I said, Decatur is incredibly advantageously positioned in a lot of different areas, both business, transportation, academically, especially in the workforce. And those aren't things that other communities can say that they have, especially to the degree to which we do. And I think that's what makes us attractive. We just kind of have to learn to brand and market ourselves to certain areas and industries, so to speak, that are growing and thriving and are looking for places to latch on to. And we've been making great strides in that here, whether that be at the state, local, or federal level. The city of Decatur and Macon County, we want to be the home of, the green energy revolution, whether that be building electric vehicles, whether that be building solar panels and the manufacturing of such. We want to make sure we're the heart of that industry going forward. We want to bring more jobs in growth-related industries, where people can rely upon and expect to grow and build upon for 10 years, not have to worry about whether or not there's going to be layoffs or things of that nature there coming forward. We want something that they can build and thrive off, that their children can expect to potentially do themselves. Oftentimes we hear that most people have to get a college education to be successful in the United States of America, and that's just simply not true. We have all kinds of different trades-based jobs, other manufacturing-based jobs here that truly can provide a really great quality of living.
I think some, folks might know you from your time on the board or just, your involvement in the community. But for anyone that doesn't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, growing up and like you said, you just graduated, kind of being a young face here in Decatur?
Absolutely. So I'm a lifelong resident. I'm 24 years old. I've lived here my entire life. I got my education here in this community. I'm a product of DPS 61 schools. I graduated from Richland Community College. I later ultimately obtained my bachelor's degree right down the road in Springfield, where I'm also currently a master's student getting my master's degree in business administration. Like I said, just a local product. I've been around the community. I've been around the state, both in the private and public sector, working with communities and seeing how they are leveraging their assets to really forge their way forward in the future. And I think we're here in the city of Decatur. We're ready to do that. We're ready to write that next chapter. But we also have to elect leaders that are willing to take bold, decisive action to get to that point. And that's why I'm running. I think we've been making great strides in a lot of areas, but I think we can, one, push that to a whole nother degree, but also unlock some of these other avenues and channels in which we have. We have a thriving, we have a growing arts community here and culture that just needs to be embraced and given the tools to success and keys to success that they need to really grow. We want to make Decatur not only a community where people think they can move to and build their family and their career, but we want to make it somewhere where someone wants to go on the weekend and have a good time, enjoy themselves, take in the local scenery. We have a beautiful lake. We have the Devon Amphitheater. We're bringing T-Pain here this summer, things of that nature there. Those are the type of things that people want to see. And if we as a community make sure that everyone knows that the city council, the city government is completely bought in to that exact situation, is what's going to bring forth that holistic, community-centered approach and getting there.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I think so many towns that are like the size of Decatur are in the same boat where they're trying to figure out ways to really sell themselves. And I think you kind of touched on why that is so important. So, how do you think that you would be able to sell Decatur to businesses, to prospective new residents moving forward?
Absolutely. Like I said, I've been around the state working with communities smaller, larger, and the same size as the city of Decatur, and I've seen how they've done so. When we look to the east in Champaign, we look to the west in Springfield, we look to the north in Bloomington, just right here in our own backyard. They've been making great strides, whether that's attracting companies like Rivian, whether or not that's embracing some of the local art scenes and things of that nature that both Springfield and Champaign are doing. Those are the kind of avenues that we want to take, but we also want to do new and innovative approaches that we have not necessarily seen. There's been communities throughout the country over the past several decades that, as you said, have dealt with some of the same issues that we have dealt here in the city of Decatur, and they have taken just new innovative approaches to solving these issues, whether that may be the direct tax incentives given to certain corporations, or whether that may is incentivizing and building small businesses too. That's something that I've really seen in my time working in communities smaller than Decatur throughout the state of Illinois, is that they have really latched on to the entrepreneurship fever, if one will, and embrace and give their local residents the tools needed to build their own local, their own small businesses, whether that may be just a mom and pop boutique shop, or that's something that's more larger scale and is light manufacturing as well. We look down the road to Taylorville, so some of the things that they're doing there in the city of Taylorville, and I think that's what we can do here in our community as well. And I think that once people see that the city council is publicly making those overtures to do so, that they'll buy in. A lot of times when I'm engaging with citizens of the community or potential voters at the doors, they don't necessarily feel as if everyone in the community, especially some of the decision makers, are fully bought in, but bought in for everyone in that same sense too, that we're not just looking to put certain things in certain sections of town, but really rising all tides and making sure that everyone in the city of Decatur has not only a good paying job, but also the ability to enjoy themselves and enjoy everything that Decatur has to offer.
Obviously being young, energetic, having new ideas, how do you think that could really help bring something to the council to really move the city forward?
Absolutely. So that's one of the key things that I keep close to my heart at that, being an elected official of 24 years old, being on the county board and being the vice president of the library. I often feel as if I go into the room and I have to go to battle for young folks or people of color, often people that are just not in the room or at the table, so to speak. And being a younger individual involved in this, I hear all the time from the young folks that they like to see what I'm doing, and I hand it right back to them. We would love to see them get involved too, because it's exactly how we see the changes that we want to see in this community. So I always encourage and advocate for young people to get involved in politics, and I think we're seeing that happen sometimes more slowly than we'd like to, but the ball is moving forward nonetheless. And that's where I think that more youthful, innovative approach comes into play there, and that, as you said, our city council does skew older, and we love our older citizens in the city of Decatur. I know that near and dear. I just left my great-grandmother a minute ago. Nevertheless, I do think there are new and just different approaches that are not necessarily the norm and the status quo that we've seen go down here for so long. And I think the people are hungry for that. They want to see a change, and they want to see it done in different ways than we have in the past.
Yeah, I do want to make sure though that folks know that you have held office before, and you do have some experience though, even though you are young. So can you kind of share a little bit about what you've been able to do on the county board? I know obviously the way that the party lines are, it's tough to sometimes get stuff done with the board, but just a little bit about your experience so far, sir.
Well, absolutely, that's a great point. Thank you. So yes, I got elected to the county board in 2020, and I was subsequently reelected this past November. It is a political atmosphere. It's a little bit different than the city council, but I will say most of the things, I think 80 to 90% of all the things that we vote on the county board are usually unanimous and are quite bipartisan. It's just some of those smaller issues in which we divulge, but we have been able to get quite a bit done here in Macon County, especially being use of the COVID relief funds that we saw from the federal government. We've been making marketed changes and improvements for our some of the different roadway projects. Obviously the County Beltway Connector project is something we've been reinvesting in. We've, despite the challenges that we've seen from inflation and things of that nature there, we've expanded broadband across the county. We've COVID relief pay during the pandemic for different individuals there. We took a lot of pride in being able to give back to different citizens that have provided such essential services over the past couple of years and haven't necessarily got their due diligence, and we're really glad we're able to provide that. So there's quite a bit going on in Macon County, and that's the story we want to tell. We have all these different positives, we have all these different things here, and oftentimes the perception of the city of Decatur is a negative one, and that there aren't necessarily all these positive things that we can work to build upon and grow from. And that's why I'm here, is kind of share the positive story of where we're at, but where we have to go. Not necessarily focus on the negatives, but where our future lies.
Absolutely. Lastly, if voters are heading out, obviously only 3 of you can be elected. Why do you feel like you're the best candidate to fill the seat?
As I said previously, I've been across the state working with different communities of all sizes, and I've seen how they have put their best foot forward to walk into their next chapter, and I think we're ready to do that here in the city of Decatur. New and innovative approaches, bringing everyone to the table so that they're involved in those decision-making processes, and that we're able to build the sense of community and step into our actualization.